Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Hi again, everyone. Glad that you have chosen to join us here on the Team Engagement Podcast. We always look forward to our guests joining us, sharing of their insights, and I am equally as excited with today's guest. This is Rob Schroder. He is the founder and managing partner of SteerBridge out of Washington, D.C. Rob, thank you so much for taking time to join me on the podcast today. And what would you like the audience to know about SteerBridge?
Hey, Sean. Well, first off, of course, thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with you today. I really enjoy the podcast and appreciate kind of what you do going around helping other businesses to grow and thrive and really achieve their maximum potential. So I appreciate you allowing me to join today. Real quickly, SteerBridge. Listen, we are a professional services company delivering solutions to the federal government. Primary clients are the DoD, VA, and the intelligence communities. We are primarily a data company, so we allow our customers to better collect their data, manage their data, and then leverage that data with high-end techniques such as AI and ML in order for them to better serve our nation.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I should add an extra thank you for your service. I know you're a veteran. You've been with Marines for a long time. Thank you for your service, and thank you for everything that you're doing to help protect freedom around the world, especially here at home. So thank you.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate that.
You betcha. All right, well, let's talk about our questions then. Now, as you've been building SteerBridge, is there a challenge that you've overcome that you're especially proud of?
So, Sean, that's a great question. And I think a lot of folks have standard issues that they overcome, access to capital, invariably something goes wrong. Somebody does something on a contract they're not supposed to do. A check doesn't come in when it's supposed to. You're stretched thin. You're both the head legal officer, the payroll officer, the CEO, and head recruiter all wrapped into one as you get started. So, we had all those challenges. But really, the one thing I think that the biggest challenge that we've had is in working at the VA, which is one of our customers, is that we're not only a professional services provider for the VA and solution provider, but we're also customers. And so that has been a challenge that I did not foresee in because we're on all sides of the fence there, because we are a solution provider, we're the recipient of that solution, and then we've got to work with the officials to develop the solutions. And so that's been a challenge for us and our team that I did not foresee. And I would say we're still in the process of working through that and overcoming that. But it's an unusual one based on our circumstances, but we're all so committed to the mission and to helping that particular customer that has been a challenge for us that we're still working on kind of getting to the right spot with that one.
Yeah, that is an interesting challenge. I don't think I've ever had somebody kind of talk about how, yeah, they're a provider, but they're also a customer at the same time. Kind of got this little bit of a loop there, but interesting challenge. But yeah, and I appreciate you also pointing out that with a lot of challenges, we never, in some cases we do, but in a lot of cases, we never completely figure out the perfect solution for all scenarios. And it's always kind of a work in progress. So I appreciate you pointing that out, because that is an important facet for leaders to remember is, hey, we overcome the challenges, but sometimes there's still more to go. We still learn, we still adapt. And all of that is really critical. So great comments. Appreciate that. Question number 2, how do leaders, or how can leaders kind of foster a culture of creativity within the organization?
Well, so Sean, for that one, I would say also that's critically important for exactly what you talked about before, having to be creative, because you got to be flexible, because there's no one size fits all solution for any small business or really any business out there. So you got to be creative. And we've tried to do here is create that ready room culture that it's easy for me, because that's where I came from, an aviation background. And so what I always use is the example of, and when I talk to all the new people coming into the company, a lot of people are familiar with the Blue Angels, and the Blue Angels are arguably some of the world's best fighter pilots out there. They go do a show. What's the first thing they do? They go spend an hour talking about all the mistakes they made and how they could have done the show better. Whereas everybody on the ground thinks it was perfect. It looked great. It was wonderful. But they're such professionals. They're always looking for ways to do things better. And so That's how I believe it's a culture of creativity and trust, because we're all trying to make each other better, as well as a leader, giving them the space to do that. So mistakes will be made during that process. Every solution is not great. Also, as a leader, I feel like I've got to give them enough runway and enough latitude and enough resources for them to actually be creative. So that's not just a complete black and white. It's not just let's do the same thing we've been doing day in and day out. So it's really a culture of constant improvement. It's a culture of creativity, and it's just the way it comes natural to me, and the way I've grown up in the Marine Corps is always looking for solutions that are outside of the box, because we can do things bigger, better, faster if we maybe just think about it from a different lens, and that's bringing that right team together. Like my business partner, never in the military. He's a CFO, CPA by training. He's all these things that I'm not. And that's what allows us to be creative, because we bring different people in that have a different perspective and experience base and expertise.
I love that. And I really liked, especially at the end. I mean, I loved everything that you just said, but especially at the end when you were talking about your partner and how you have complementary strengths, and that allows the team to really thrive that way. But going back just a little bit earlier to your comments about, I like that phrase, that runway of creativity, to allow them that kind of that space to create and to innovate and to find new answers to solutions, or new answers to problems that they may not have even come across yet. So great comments. Love that.
And to make mistakes. They got to be they got to know they can make a mistake, and they're not going to get throttled for it. And that's a key component.
Oh, it really is that psychological safety, that safety zone to say, you know what, we're not going to make a big mistake, but even if we do, we're in a space where we can correct it. And I really need to research this and figure out who said it, but I believe it was a woman CEO or someone that said, there isn't a mistake that one of my employees makes that I cannot correct. She wasn't saying it in a spirit of arrogance. It was a spirit of, hey, we can fix it. There's always something that we can fix. And I really like that approach. And I love how you said it as well. So great.
So we tell folks so we hire a lot of military folks. So they've never done this. This is their first job out of the military. And in order to ensure we get that creativity, aggressiveness, and everything, we tell them, you're not going to make a fatal mistake. My partner and I are not going to allow you to make a fatal mistake. You're going to make plenty of mistakes, but that comfort knowing that, hey, I'm not going to ruin the business if I do something wrong today. So we're in violent agreement with one another.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. No fatal mistakes. Yeah, I like that. All right. Well, question number 3, how can leaders help the team members to learn to trust each other?
Well, I think one thing that is often not talked about, and I've seen this, so I've been out of the Marine Corps now for 10 years, so in the private sector, and what I see often gets overlooked in that trust piece is the compensation and how folks are compensated. I feel like that has often, it doesn't build trust, but it undercuts the trust. And so I'd say that is a key component to make sure you got your compensation structure, it's balanced and it's in the right shape so that it doesn't undercut the trust. And I think the way you build trust is that the team sees you as the leader in the mix with them, working hard, working the solutions, and then producing results alongside, so that the trust comes from everybody working together. And the more you work together, the more that trust comes about. And, I think there's nothing greater than, being in the trenches with each other and developing a solution and knowing that everybody has the same goal and end state at the end of the day. And if you can do that, so as the leader, that's my responsibility to set that vision, and everybody's going in the same direction. And everybody knows we all have the same motivations. That to me is getting them oriented correctly, pointing in the right direction, and know everybody's going there with the right intentions.
I like that. Yeah, great comments. Great comments. All right, question number 4. Is there it happens once in a while. We were kind of just talking earlier about that space to make a mistake or something like that. Is there an experience that you've had where maybe it might be perceived as a failure, but you turned it into a win?
Yes. So in this business, we we consider success is a lot like, your baseball picture behind you. If we're batting 300, we're successful. And so with our proposals going out, so it's a game of failure to begin with. But I would say for us, we spent early on a lot of time, a lot of resources, and a lot of effort on one particular proposal. It was a gigantic proposal. We spent a year doing it. It was audacious. It was way beyond our what was expected from us, but we didn't get it. I still think to this day it's that our customer made a massive mistake, and that it's borne out in what has occurred. So it was a failure. We did not get it. I had been saying we were going to get it for the better part of a year. I felt like our solution, everything was great. But how do we turn that around? Number one, we turn around like, look, we are creative. We are audacious enough to go after $1 billion deal. That's who we are. That's in our DNA. So that became part of our DNA. The second thing was all those relationships that we built along the way are providing fruit on other areas as well. And then third, we're still never going to give up on that thing. We're still going to come back to it. And I'm still convinced of the righteousness and the rightness of that one. And so we're taking little victories along the way, but I'm still going to come back to that thing because I feel like it was right. But it was a big failure for us.
Really like that approach because you pointed several things out. You mentioned that even though there was a bit of a failure, the relationships that you built along the way are bearing fruit now, and that you're not giving up. That it's not necessarily an end. There's still an opportunity to develop something there and see if you can turn that into a bigger win. You've already had a lot of using the baseball analogy. You're hitting some singles right now. You want to get to that extra base hit, or even that home run, or even the granddaddy, the grand slam. So love that. We're going to come back to the baseball analogy here in just a second. I'll ask a question number 5 real quick, and then we have a little bonus question for the audience here. Question number 5, tell us a little bit about your first job, because I think this is fascinating.
So like a lot of folks, Sean, I started a law in business, but I think that I started a law in business on steroids and really built up quite the book of business. But the big lesson learned I had there was one day I had to cut 20 yards in a day. So imagine a kid, single push mower, 20 yards. You have to figure out a way logistically to do that. There's only so much daylight. But I figured out a way mowing business yards, at 4 a.m. before sunrise, all these sort of things. But then I figured out, man, I can make, 20 yards, $20 a yard, $400. I can make $400 a day. And we're talking, this is back in the 80s.
Yeah.
That motivated me in a way that just showed me, hey, hard work with a smart plan equals great benefits. And so I ran that lawn business. I gave it to my brothers. I still mowed yards all the way through my time at the academy and into flight school because it was so lucrative that I could go in and do it. So I love my yard business. I love the lessons I got from it as well.
That's awesome. That's got to be a record, 20 in one day. My goodness, I can't even fathom that. So well done.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Okay. Here's a bonus question. This isn't, we haven't asked anybody else, but before you and I started the recording, we were having some fun talking about baseball. So I just have to ask, what is your favorite baseball memory? I already know what it is because you started to talk about it, but the audience has to hear this too. So share with us your favorite baseball memory.
So I was fortunate enough, I grew up, my dad played baseball for the San Francisco Giants back in the 60s. And fast forward 2010, the Giants were in the World Series, and we got asked to go. I was a command of a VMA 214, the Black Sheep Squadron, a Harrier squadron down in Yuma, Arizona. We went and did the flyover, Game 2, the World Series, and the Giants head office remember, a lot of folks there remember my dad. They brought us all down on the field, and really a great moment for me to be able to do that flyover, be able to be on the field with the Giants. The only huge mistake I made, I didn't invite my dad out there and have him on the field with me. So that was a mistake, but it was a great memory for me.
Oh, I love that. It just gives me the chills every time, because not only, how many people get to be on the field? Very, very, very few. And then how many you get to do a flyover? Even smaller. So I love the fact that you could do both. The only
Gotcha.
drawback to your story, Rob, is that if I remember correctly, the 2010 Giants knocked out the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLCS. So that part, that still is a little bit bitter for me, but this helps me feel a little bit better about it.
Very nice. I am sorry for bringing that memory up.
No, you're not, but it's okay.
Nice.
All right, Rob, this has been so much fun. Thank you for sharing
Yep.
your insights, your wisdom, your experience, as well as some fun memories as well. How can people find you?
Well, thanks, Sean, again. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to connect. Easy to connect with me, rob@steerbridge.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me there, and let us know how we can help you. I'm a very big advocate in the veteran space, especially for transitioning veterans as they look for their next careers. I'm happy to connect with anybody, general support, advice, or mentoring that I can provide, other business owners or other veterans as they look to make the transition.
Fantastic. And thank you again for your service. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in every week. We appreciate you, and we wish everybody a great day. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching. Is your business thriving? Go to tbs-score.com to find out. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.